when I hear we are after the foundational literacy data, this is the what we are kind of working towards. And the other part of the sentence is the who. Who is going to be doing the collecting of our quantitative and qualitative data to again get our data here. So the who is all of us. So I'm thinking about, so Miss Bradley, if you're thinking about us collecting data around SIPs,
Yes.
what is one way you can collect data? As the TSA, as the K through 2 TSA leader.
I can do observations.
Uh-huh.
I can go around to those classrooms during our SIPS block and collect that data there.
Mm-hmm.
I can also look at our data reports.
Perfect. So I'm hearing quantitative and qualitative. Uh-huh.
Perfect.
Perfect. I don't take all the answers. No, that's great. That's great. Hold on. Yes. Great. Yes. And then pass on to Miss M as our principal. What is something as we're focusing on SIPs that we could do to collect data?
Yeah, I really appreciate you highlighting the qualitative data collection, because I think a lot of times we talk about quantitative data and we talk about it in terms of collecting our interim or benchmark, assessment data. But I think it's also important for us to triangulate what we're seeing in terms of teacher practice.
Yes.
Right? In addition to sort of student achievement data that we find in not only our benchmark and interim assessment data, but our rich formative assessment data, right? And how we look at that data, and I think more importantly, how we're using that to drive instruction, how we're using that to progress monitor. So we know that Mason isn't falling through the cracks, right? Or Aaliyah isn't falling through the cracks, or Natasha is falling through the cracks.
Exactly. Yes. So what I hear is kind of like triangulating data.
Yes.
Almost. It's like looking at observations with the data, and then also like the progress monitoring,
And
the
looking
instruction.
and I think using our systems, because it's very important, you put our systems down there. How do we use like our OUSD dashboards, right, to actually see like who's actually participating, who's taking the test, who's not, right? What's the actual pass rate, right? Are kids actually passing? Yes. If not, why not? So that we can really engage in setting goals, planning, teaching, right? Assessing, reflecting, and engaging in corrective action planning.
Absolutely, and all those focus questions are things that, yes, absolutely what this is going to lead us to. Great, so again, we know who is going to be collecting the data, what data we're kind of looking for, and then can, Ms. V, can you read the next chunk of our problem of practice, please?
Yes, so while purposefully aligning the focus of all school systems around providing successful SIPS teaching strategies based on the SIPS overview routines indicators.
Spectacular, thank you so much. So this section of our, if we're kind of unchunking this and unpacking this, I see where we are going to be able to make the difference, right? So the first two wheres that we kind of see is, the first one is purposefully aligning the focus of all school systems around providing successful SIPS teaching strategies. So like Ms. Moore was saying, where we are doing this is we are trying to align our school with instruction focusing on certain things. So we have our coaching aligned with our ILT, looking at the same things as our PDs. And like Ms. Moore was saying, we're looking all towards our North Star around access for our students, access and rigor, right? And what can you add to this, please?
Well, I'm just curious, like, too, how the role of our PLCs, like how do we, especially our professional learning communities, because there's power in PLCs, and that's where a lot of the work is taking place. And so thinking about, because you had mentioned earlier, and I appreciate you highlighting that in our problem of practice, right? Like the, grade level, like we should be aligning this to grade level standards, right? We have grade level teams that are meeting. So how are they actually looking at data?